I would like to share the project that I had done. So this is a database specifically dedicated for the Oxford independent coffee shops. There are millions of independent coffee shops in Oxford, and in the short name for this project will be Oxford Cafes. So there are a bunch of them that I had created a record for them. And these are basically all of those that's mentioned in these projects. Yeah. And so first of all is the ER diagram. The most important one is the coffee shops. I hope you guys can see my cursor, right? So the most important one is the coffee shops, and like with the primary key is the shop ID. So like I've realized there's always this like little key icon in the ER diagram, which is quite useful. And then the item price will be a table that sort of combine the shop ID, which is the coffee shop, along with the coffee. And because each of the shops, they can decide how much the coffee they are going to charge. So it's kind of like the combination of those two will determine which price how much the coffee is going to cost. So, and it has like this foreign key referring back to the original, the shop, the coffee shop. And then the next table is the co-working table, which I think is quite important because we like to work in cafes, and having a reliable Wi-Fi is quite important. And also like there's supposed to be some plugs that allow you to recharge your laptop, so that's quite nice. And then the next table is sale, which is just like the sale date and whether the coffee is sold as decaf or not. And then the last table is the bean table. So first of all, I will want to find a way to know that which Americano will be the cheapest among all the coffee shops that I go to, and which coffee shops that also has Wi-Fi and plugs that I can like charge my laptop for. So I basically grab the coffee shops table and then join it with the item price table and the co-working table, and set the shop ID to be equal to each of these tables. So that will sort of create a like massive joined spreadsheet. And then select these items that I'm only like interested in, which is the shop name, and then the streets, the coffee and price, and the number of plugs. And the where clause basically filter that the coffee name will be Americano, and there will be Wi-Fi provided by the coffee shops. And then I order it by price and then by number of plugs. So you can see that Pendleton Cafe actually has like the cheapest Americano and has like most number of plugs that. And the next thing is about the store function. So I wanted to see how much one person can save if they bring their own travel mug. So I created this like apply discount stored function. So that basically takes in the price and then use the multiplication function sort of apply the travel mug discount. And so I basically call this function apply discount in this select statement here, and select the coffee name and then price and then the shop. So we can see that like for the item mocha, the Columbia Cafe will provide the most travel mug discount. And then the next thing is the subquery. So I wanted to see during the first week of December where the coffee beans from Kenya are actually sold. So the first select statement basically just restrict the time between the 1st of December to 7th of December, and to see where the bean originates actually from Kenya. And in this case, I only got one record that is from shop ID number 6. But then the next thing is a stored procedure. So the idea having this stored procedure is that whenever there's a new cell opening up, we can speed up the process of putting in the new cell. So the first thing is to set the date time to now. And then the staff doesn't need to remember like shop ID and the coffee ID and the bean code. So that is why I had created like if coffee equals Americano, the combo ID will be called C1. And same applies to the bean origin. So I called two stored procedure, one on Americano from Ghana, and then give it whether it is going to be sold as decaf or not. And so the last two records, 14 and 15, are the new created by calling this stored procedure called build inventory tool. And then the next thing is about creating a view that had at least 3 to 4 tables. So I want to find like the total sales. And so it's basically just joining in like all 3 tables and then show a massive table and then order it by time. The next thing is group by. So this is, I wanted to see how many decaf coffee are actually being sold by each shop. In the actual scenario, most coffee can be sold as decaf. You just reduce the shots. And then the next thing is trigger. I had a lot of trouble with trigger. Originally, I was thinking about when you update a shop, like the other table can also have a new record updated, but I just couldn't get it work to talk to each other. So I'm still working on that. But then this trigger that I created is that like whenever there's a new shop joining, there will be given a new shop ID. And so I sort of practice using the substring function and the concat built-in function. And so these two new coffee shop called G&D and Rick's are having like the increment with 0.1 as their new shop ID. Yeah. And then lastly, this is the Tableau visualization. This is the amount of coffee beans like in kilograms each of these places provide. And then I also build the map basically on the same origin based on the coffee origin. And then another one, this one is about decaf and the price. So I believe the top orange row is the price, and then the bottom is whether it is decaf or not. And then this is the coffee sale by time for each of the given shop. So yeah, and that's all. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. I will put my code at GitHub, so if people are interested to like reuse or like want to join to like visit Oxford, just come over and then like we'll go for coffee together.